No, I've been with Chet kind of a long time in my career, I would say. I know how he operates. Even on Optic, we were running Neon before anyone ran Neon. No one said anything then. I think trying things is okay. You won't really know what works fully until you get into an official. Things can work in practice that won't work in a match.
Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview covering VCT America Stage 1. This time I am accompanied by crashies of NRG who are coming off of a loss to EG during week 4 of said competition. So crashies, really appreciate you taking the time once again for another interview, despite this result. And yet talking about this result, losing to EG. I mean, talk to me about how you're feeling right now, in light of this series.
Definitely frustrated, I would say, is the main thing I'm feeling right now. Started really slow on Ascent after winning Pistol. Got like, I think we got 10-2'd was the half. Didn't win a gun round. Um, yeah, and just kind of fell flat on our map pick, which is pretty unacceptable. Um, and Lotus was like pretty back and forth. I think we played like very well, I would say, on that map. Energy was very good. Mid rounding wasn't the best, but it's kind of on us. And then Sunset map 3, we started off really hot, 4-0 start. We definitely should have had more defense rounds, we feel like. Didn't really adjust to what they were doing and just kind of accepted, everything that they were doing basically. And then attack side, we played pretty well, played pretty slow, was feeling out the map, what they were doing. Just lost, some close rounds and yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you giving me the whole summary, but I want to talk about first off, map one, Ascent. As you said, map pick didn't really go the way you guys wanted to. Obviously, I mean, obviously, a big obligatory. What do you think went wrong there for you guys in that map?
I think we just started really slow. Comms were like pretty low, I would say. Um, wasn't really working the map to the best of our ability. Wasn't really figuring out what setup they were in. It's kind of a macro problem on that map, I would say.
Yeah, and it in a way kind of set the foundation for how the series will then play out, especially in map 3. And yeah, you mentioned a little bit about map 2 and you guys taking that returning the favor, doing it on EG's map pick in Lotus. And yeah, now going over into the third map, as you said, pretty shaky defense, first half, as you said, strong, kind of not strong uh attacking side fortunately didn't go the way it happened. And yeah, like what do you think kind of set the difference in that third map against them?
So I mean, even from our last Sunset game, obviously it was an improvement because we played Leviathan and we got absolutely throttled. So at least we improved on that front. Definitely made it close and was definitely winnable. But yeah, I mean, we just started pretty good, 4-0 start, but like I said, we didn't really adapt to what they were doing. We just kind of had faith in our setups, and it just wasn't working. We kind of knew what they were doing and where they were basically going every round. They didn't really catch us off guard or anything. We just like kind of accepted their hit, got owned by their util, and yeah, I think that was the story of defense. And then attack side, I think we did play pretty well. We played pretty slow, figured out what they were doing, broke like utility. Some rounds weren't played the best, but it's Valorant. Anything can really happen in these rounds. But yeah, I do feel like we improved like a lot from the last time we played Sunset. So there is some hope and some good things to take away from that map at least. But yeah, we definitely feel like that series was winnable for us.
Improved in what sense?
Just from like a macro standpoint, we definitely just knew how we wanted to play our attack side. We didn't just really like take map control and leave it, things like that. We were pushing them off their lines. Um, our post plants were better. Um, just coordination in general, I would say.
Uh, Going into map 2, it was the first time that you guys played that map. You're going through the notes of the team, and yeah, and also in doing so, it's a pretty interesting composition that you guys opted in that map, given the fact that we haven't seen it being played anywhere else except for when Navi played it back in EMEA. Just want to pick your brains as to, or if I'm able to. The thought process behind adopting that composition and just getting inspiration from that Navi instance from from before. What was that thought process like in just opting for that direction?
Yeah, so I can't really speak too much about it. Obviously, you know why, but we just saw how the comp played, and we definitely liked just how people wouldn't be used to that comp. You know, like Lotus right now is pretty standard with the comps. Everyone's running the same Fade, Killjoy, Raze. It's like that's the same comp everyone runs. You have a little difference in like APAC where they run Chamber, but everyone plays the map the same. So we really liked how we could change how teams reacted to us and how we could kind of play a different style on that map. So teams have to adapt to how we're playing. I think it's a very strong way to play Valorant in general. If everyone everyone knows how to play against the comp anyway, it's just like back and forth. But if teams don't really know what comp you're playing or how to adapt to it in the moment, it just becomes 10 times harder for them and 10 times easier for us. I think we played that comp pretty well, I would say today. Definitely not the cleanest, but I mean, it's Lotus, so kind of like a back and forth map anyway. But yeah, I personally, I was very like confident and happy with the comp we were running.
Yeah, and it did turn out in a win for you guys. A slight respite, I would say, despite the results. And yeah, you mentioned a little bit about just recovering from, Super Weekend, just trying to bounce back, from that, I believe, that loss to Leviathan first match of Super Week and just trying to do that for this occasion. What do you think was like the biggest things that you guys tweaked, from Super Week for this encounter? And how do you think that kind of fared? In this resulting match.
Yeah, so even though we lost today, like I said, we definitely improved on the things that we took out of Super Week. Our macro in general, coordination, just I would say are the two biggest things that we took away from Super Week. You know, with the team of our caliber and the talent on our team, it's pretty like unexcusable to lose to Leviathan the way we did. So we really took a look at what went wrong and what happened in that series, and really tried to apply it. You know, for the rest of the season. We put in a lot of time in practice to how we wanted to play our matches. So practice was like really hard, I would say, and really good. It wasn't like bad practice or anything. We just focused really hard on, like I said, the macro and our coordination, things like that. And yeah, it definitely improved in the series today, but unfortunately we lost. So
This 2024 season has, in many ways, it's kind of reminiscent to 2023 because of a few storylines that have just been playing itself out for the same teams in almost the same fashion. When I say that, I talk about NRG. There was of course, back in 2023 there was a time in which you guys were struggling early on in the year and just trying to experiment and stuff like that. In a way, it's kind of similar to like 2024, the way I see it. You guys experimenting early on in the season and just having, do things like, putting in Demon One on the race, which I talked to Chet about last week. But yeah, like how do you look at the kind of similarities in just trying to innovate, experiment early on in the season, from last year and this year?
I definitely think it's okay to experiment and innovate in the regular season. Like playoffs is really what matters. Regular season doesn't really matter too much. You just kind of see what works and what doesn't work. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm personally okay with it. I feel like all the players on the team are okay with it. And if anyone is really uncomfortable, we have like a good atmosphere where you can kind of say it in practice. You know, tell Chet if someone's uncomfortable, things like that. So no one really feels forced on a role that they're not comfortable on. It's just it's the regular season. You can try things. Things won't work. Some things will work. Like it's just how it goes.
Yeah, and there's of course when that happens, I do understand the rationale of teams doing that, and just having to get prepared, understand what's going wrong, and then just do the same. Once a critical situation does happen later on in the season. But of course, when it comes to doing that in a competition like this, because there's going to be arguments of just how it's such a risky thing to do, and just like why would you do this in an official, when there's championship points on the line. You
Yeah,
get the
yeah, yeah.
idea.
Of
Um,
course.
I mean, I'm sure you're by your response, you're conscious of that kind of sentiment, atmosphere and that stuff. does that kind of affect you in any way, like in any fashion?
Me personally, not really. I've been with Chet kind of a long time in my career, I would say. I know how he operates. Even on Optic, we were running Neon before anyone ran Neon. No one said anything then. So I just think, like I said, it's okay to try things in the regular season as long as you can make playoffs. I think, unfortunately, with this loss, I think we cannot get first seed, and now making playoffs is definitely harder. So I think our next game is a must win. So definitely sucks going into that. But yeah, I mean, I think trying things is okay. You won't really know what works fully until you get into an official. Things can work in practice that won't work in a match. Every player will say the same thing. You kind of have to play a match to see just what is working and what doesn't work. So
Talking to you just reminds me of that initial conversation we had, back in before kickoff, and I asked you about this whole community expectations for this team, and its current level, despite the fact that you guys, we're still getting to know each other, at that point in time, now that, it's been a few months by now, where do you currently see the current level of the team, after playing, a good amount of officials and just having enough time of practice, under your belt?
I definitely think our ceiling is really high. Like I said it today, like our ceiling as a team is definitely one of the highest in the league. We have five really incredible, talented players that have, had competed at multiple international events, have won events. So our ceiling is so high. I just think we need to find a way to just be our best on the given day. Um, for example, on a scent, losing like that, where we only win pistol round on attack, is like really, really bad for a team of our caliber. So I feel like that's just a perfect example. Definitely going to review that and see what went wrong and how we can, fix it. But yeah, I just think since our ceiling is so high, we just need to figure out a way to just, bring it out.
One more question before I wrap it up. Two-parter, as you said, future, and one more game, 100 Thieves, opponent. If I'm correct, let me check, let me check, let me check, let me check, let me
Yeah,
check, let
you're
me
right.
check.
You're right.
Yes, thank you so much. Thoughts on them? And also, you said about macro and just focusing on that, for next week. Is that the thing, the one thing that the team needs to tweak to then, finally reach its potential?
So yeah, first question, 100 Thieves. I think they're a great team. They've definitely been improving over the course of the season. I think Bustio has elevated that team immensely, and they're all kind of, you know, figuring out how they want to play together and just kind of playing to their level. I would say every single player on that team is playing insane right now. And I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. So definitely going to have to bring our A game for sure that day. And then second question, yeah, we're just gonna review today's VOD, see what went wrong, see what we can improve on. Obviously, I don't know exactly what went wrong yet. But yeah, I'm sure we could always improve macro. You can always improve coordination. And yeah, that's biggest takeaways I would say.
I really appreciate you taking the time once again, Crashies, for doing this. Despite the result, it's really appreciate for you to do this. And yeah, that's it. Nothing else to add except for best of luck in the next one.
Thank you, Pedro.